So hey guys, my name is Pranav and today we're going to check about everything you need to know about the DNS records. So I have written this blog just recently, last week I have written this one out, and today we're going to take a look at what is DNS. Okay, so DNS stands for a domain name system. That phrase doesn't help much, but right, okay, but it's in simple, it's kind of a internet's phone book. When you type a website address, let's suppose you type any address, say techdecipher.com, that is basically the domain name that is mapped to an IP address in a DNS server. Okay, so into your browser, your computer does not understand what that name is. It understands the IP address, strings or number like 192 or something like that. So DNS translates a human friendly domain name into a machine friendly IP address. Basically, that domain name, my domain name is basically is in some DNS server. I mean, either provided by the hosting or its domain's own record machine. Okay, so that is where the IP address of a hosting is mapped to that domain name through a record, and that's how whenever I hit the website, the pages gets rendered. Okay, so how does that work? Let's talk through what happens basically. Behind the scenes, whenever you type a domain name, you typically, your browsers go through a lot of local DNS resolvers, usually ISP. So it goes through the request goes to the ISP. Okay, so whatever the internet service provider you have, it's just my router name, so don't worry about it. So basically I have an active fiber net internet broadband connection, so it goes through that, and then it goes or it also checks through the Google's DNS. Okay, and to verify where the domain lives, and then if it does not know it, Google requests for it, and if it knows it, then it just renders the page. Okay, so the main agenda behind this blog is to understand what are the type of sub DNS records then you must know. Actually, whenever you are hosting a website, or you belong to it, you are learning some technical stuff from the networking standpoint, then you must know some records that are there, that must be known. It's good to know things because whenever you prepare for an interview, or even you are studying in the college, you must know those things. Okay, so I was working in GoDaddy for like 2 to 3 years I have spent there, and I'm telling you, these are the things really helped me, often quickly debug things. So a record, first record is a record, is an address record, is called as an address record. So it's a very important record, and it connects a domain to an IP address, IPv4. Like IPv4, there are two types of IPs. One is IPv4 address and one is IPv6 address. So a record helps to map the domain name from IP address, the domain name, to the IPv4 address. Okay, just take it, just know, get this, that is simply mapping a domain name, a string, to an IP address of your IPv4 address of your host, which is often referred as a hosting. And hosting is nothing but a server that has your website files. Now coming to 4 times a record, it's a record. It does the same thing. It does the same thing, but instead of mapping to IPv4, it helps you map to IPv6. Okay, so domain name with IPv6, because nowadays in the modern tech, what is happening is that because of the IP allocations are shrinking. I mean, with IPv4 distribution, the number of IPs are less, and number of IP allocation is also getting less. So they have the internet engineering have decided to bring up this IPv4, which is an enhanced version of IPv4, which is called as IPv6, and it helps you have a lot of IP addresses. You can carve out a lot of IP addresses from it. So it's better, it's just good for more IP allocations, because in future we're gonna need more systems, more devices, more things. Every now and then, every what do I say, every shop owner would have his own website or her website. So for that, a lot of IPs we're gonna need. So IPv6 is the solution for that, and 4 times a record exactly help us do that. Now the third thing is CNAME record. CNAME record stands for a colonial name, not colonial. Okay, not like a British colonialism, but canonical name, sorry, I missed it. I am not recording this. It's just live. I just felt like I record something, I'm recording it. So CNAME stands for canonical name instead of point. Okay, so now what happens is, sometimes you don't always need a domain name to point to an IP address, right? Sometimes you need a subdomain name to point to an IP address, and that is what CNAME help us do that. Okay, so let's suppose you want to have your subdomain point to a main parent domain. Then what you can do is you can make use of this CNAME record, that, and you'd be basically how this subdomain works is you just domain.com. Okay, that's your parent domain, but then anything you put before that domain name with a dot, is just, that becomes a subdomain name, like mysub.domain.com. okay, so that's basically your domain subdomain name. And let's suppose if you're not having a dedicated file pages for this subdomain name, you can just redirect it to this domain name. And how you can do that? Through this CNAME record. Okay, now coming up next is MX record. It's called as a mail exchange. Okay, so what happens is, what is this? So MX records actually help you deliver the email. So I'll explain you from the hosting standpoint, because I have dealt a lot of in my initial career days. As I told you, that I was working for GoDaddy. So what is happening here is that along with the hosting, you get some emails, free emails. If you go to a hosting plan, I'll just write over GoDaddy. I will help you. Oh no, not careers. I'm not looking to do a job in GoDaddy again, but yeah, let me just, okay, GoDaddy, not the career. Okay, not the, okay, not the career, man. Okay, just be with me. I'll show you what I mean by that. Is that anytime there is a hosting. Okay, so why it's not opening? So I will be picking up one hosting just for you to show up. Let's suppose this is a hosting, and in hosting I go for web hosting because I want to show what is on here. And if you see, free email, these are the listed plans you can start with, but this is the email. What it says in a cheaper bundle, it says how many emails I don't know, but yeah, free cPanel email. So along with the hosting, we get cPanel emails, we get the emails. Now how those emails gonna work? So those emails are going to work with the help of MX records. Okay, so this information is given to you by a hosting provider, so you don't need to worry about what records you need to put. But for the sake of this understanding, that MX record stands for mail exchange, and it's purely for your email deliverability. Okay, now txt record is our, okay, second last. So txt record is a record that is commonly used for verification. For example, you want to verify something, SPF, DKIM, domain. For example, even in SSL providers, sometimes what happens is you need to prove your domain name. So what they do is that they provide you an SPF record, which a txt record, which you need to go to your DNS provider, and then you put the domain name over there. My mistake. Put the txt record there, and once that starts to resolve, what happens is, it means that you were the one who did the change, because the txt key was given to you, which means that it indirectly tells you, it explains that, proves that the domain name is owned by you. So it's mainly used for txt. And I know that apart from verification, there are so many other reasons why txt records is there, but just for the sake of this the basic understanding, okay, just for the basic understanding, this is what it is used for. Now last we have in our list is ns records, which is called as a name server. So I'm gonna tell you this. For example, you purchased a domain from GoDaddy. Okay, search domain names. You purchased the domain from GoDaddy. Now generally what happens is, you purchase the domain name from GoDaddy, its default DNS is at GoDaddy. which means is you go to GoDaddy, log in there, click on the domain name, and then there are the setup records that you can change, like the DNS record. I mean the DNS records. Now, what if you have a hosting from another department? For example, let's say you have an hosting from Namecheap. What I mean to say is that you have a domain purchased from the hosting plan, like you have the domain purchased outside of your hosting plan. So the point comes is who is going to manage those DNS records? Because obviously you would need to have the MX records added, you need to have the A record added, CNAME, or whatever the DNS records that you need to have for your website to function. So the NS decides that. So if you have purchased domain from GoDaddy, and you have a website on like hosting on Namecheap, so you can transfer that DNS access to Namecheap, so that in the Namecheap side you can make changes to the DNS records. So NS records helps you change it just let you have a control over the DNS records. Okay, so that is, apart from that, there are some other advantage of that, but I'm not going to talk about it over here. So yeah, now after all this, as we have known what are the best or must known DNS records, what is a DNS propagation? So generally what happens is, when you have a website and you have completed everything up, and the customer support says that, okay, wait for the DNS propagation, wait for 24 hours to 48 hours. So what that basically means is that it is for any update on the DNS, it takes some time to reflect on the network. I mean, it should be requested. So to go globally, it has to be requested, right? So it slowly goes up and gets updated on its own. So that's what basically is a DNS propagation. So, and there are ways to how to quickly do things. So you just come into my website and go for this blog and read it over here, and then you will see. Now what happens if you want to, what do you do if you want to check what is the DNS record, like so what I have also listed some tools. So I used to use this what's my DNS. If you just come here and type decipher, okay, and you click A record, and I can just with the click of a button you would see my A record. Now if I want to go to CA record, sorry, if AA record, you see no AA record because there's no IPv6 I'm using IPv4, which you've already seen previously. Now if you come to, you will see namecheaphosting.com, right? So this is the name. So I have kept this ones out there, and yeah, so this is all about the records that I told you. And I don't know how my energy just dropped down, but I'm gonna tell you why it is happening. Okay, yeah, so I'm gonna tell you. So these are the ways that you do things. Come to my blog, just read these blogs out. There are 100 plus blogs in my website. All of the blogs are very helpful. If you need any help, please just go to here, contact, or even you can comment down below. And any help you require or anything that you need, just call me out. Okay, bye. All right, that's the main walkthrough. But before we wrap up, let me show you something useful. This is my service page. If you would rather have me do heavy lifting, I help with SSL migration, restore, servers, website troubleshooting, WordPress core file replacement, and even one-to-one consultancy. Basically, if it's tech headache for you, I can take care of it at a very cheaper costs. Now over to web tools. If you are more of a DIY person, check out the tools section of my website. There are a couple of tools that you can use on a daily basis. Tools like What's My IP, SSL checker, case converter, all these things you can just search over here. Ping, for example, if I want to search a ping test, then you can just search like this over here. And finally, when you're ready to connect, here's the contact form for business inquiries, collabs, and for project assistance. Just fill out the form and I'll try to reach you as soon as possible. If you would like to support my work, the Buy Me a Coffee QR code is right here. You can scan it and support me. That's it for this video, guys. I'll see you in the next one.